You were made for more. And I say this because I know the God that created us for more. We look at Genesis chapter 1, and what we see is amazing. We see the account of creation where God made the heavens and the earth, the grass, the animals that live in the sea, and the winged birds. We see all that he created. And then he makes man in his image and in his likeness. Which of all creation can say that they were made in the image and the likeness of God? Let's let that sink in for a minute. So, as we think about this, the fact that you and I were made for more, let's think about Jeremiah, the prophet. We read the call of Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 1. And in it, we see something very interesting. We see the command and call of God, and then we see Jeremiah's response, where he says, I don't, and I'm only. And these two collide. It reminds me that often our human response to the call of God, to feeling called to do something or led to do something, the response can be fear. And that's where the commands of God come head to head with what we think about ourselves. I don't, and I'm only. When the truth is that the identity that God speaks over you and me is our true identity. Why? Because he's our maker. He knows us so well. He knows how he made us. He numbers even all the hairs on our head. He knows our thoughts. He knows our ways. And he knows what he created us to do. He knows our capacity. And so I believe that as we reflect on this, as we go to God and realize that he knows us best, we can begin to step into and accept the invitation to more. What I will say is that I believe that he calls us into things that are bigger than us, things that cause us to expand our understanding of who he is and what he's like, things that call us into identity, to confront perhaps labels or ways that we've seen ourselves or viewed ourselves, and allowing us to be confronted with his identity and what he says about us and the way that he made us. And of course, we have to acknowledge the fact that there is often fear. There was in the case of Jeremiah, and God speaks to him in that fear. There's often fear when we face things that we feel are bigger than us or more than our capacity. But the good news is that, as we see in this story with Jeremiah, he didn't do it alone, and he didn't have to do it alone. God is right there with him, giving him the words, training him, helping him, affirming his identity, reminding him that he knew him before he was born. And friend, it's the same for you and I. God knew us before we were born. He created you with a purpose, with a plan in mind in his heart. So no matter what you faced, no matter what others may have said about you or what you've said about yourself, God's identity and his words over you have the final say. You were made with purpose, you were made on purpose, and you were made for a purpose. My friend, you were made for more. So I invite you to go to God, to bring this before him, your heart, your plans, and to ask him to speak into it, to give you guidance, direction, and to speak into your identity, because he knows you best. My friend, you were made for more. Take care, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video.